write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue.
That was great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. EZ Bluez, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you back. We're going to jump in that Wayback Machine. We got this whole Wayback thing going on, right? So what we're going to do is we can get in the DeLorean, okay? We're going to turn it on. We're going to crank it up. We're going to go all the way to 88 miles an hour. Okay, let's go 88 miles an hour. Again, only in the DeLorean, not in the car you're driving right now. That'll get you a ticket. But right now, we're going to go in the DeLorean. We're 88 miles an hour. We're going to go all the way back, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way back, all the way back. And I want you to understand the myth and legend of the phoenix. From the ashes can rise a phoenix, but those ashes come from a fire that burns down everything that once was. And once everything that once was, all the depression, all the decay, all the darkness, all the hurt that was created by other people is burnt away, and you have these ashes. Then and only then can this majestic bird rise and take on the future. And one day I walked into Stella Blues and I heard the angelic falsetto of a pure phoenix. And I knew at that moment, this was a soul I needed in my life. And today, for the second time for this show, we brought this soul to you. I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, you keep your hands at 10 and 2. Because again, legalities. But mentally, put your hands together for our good brother, someone that I would walk into the gates of heck with, because we're on Trusted Radio, so I can't say the HE double hockey stick word, but the gates of heck with, Jemar Phoenix. Good brother, how are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good. I don't know if I'm worthy of that intro. I need a copy of that now, because we got to use that, like put it on an album or something.
Everyone says that, and I feel like this bit just happens every time. He keeps telling me I need to start doing cameos and just offering that for people. Like, he's like, dude, people will pay good money for that. I just like having fun.
Let's bring back the interlude or the prelude or whatever.
Exactly. Let's dance. I'm always, me, dude. I'm always down. Just give me a call and I'll jump in whatever studio is necessary for you. Yeah. You have done so much for me and my journey musically. You did backup and consultation for the EZ Bluez EP. And then, you also have sat there during sessions for Shane Penguin and have offered advice and different things like that. In fact, you were the person that pushed the massive emotional arc of Live in Technicolor to go so that I didn't take a break, in a word phrasing. And from that point, now cars have literally been burnt to that song. So congratulations, you caused as much chaos as I did. I'm not kidding, dude. I'm not kidding, bro. When everything went down, that song started to really blow up, and it started to blow up in all the cities where chaos was happening. And it started to get me. I was like, I'm nervous.
Remember, we just make the music.
About me.
What people do with the music is on them.
Word. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. For those who don't know, you are the lead singer of The Hooch. You also have your own project out there, Jemar Phoenix, as well. You released your wedding song. You also suffered from the curse of, oh my goodness, 2020, and I have all this music to release, and now I can't do anything with it. But you have continue to push, continue to grow. I know you're still working on your solo project.
Yep.
I have heard rumors and rumblings that the Hooch Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, is going to come out as well. Feel free to use that as a record title too. I think that'd be fantastic.
Electric Boogaloo.
But
Hey,
how have
you,
you know, the word, how have you managed to maintain through this? I know you do a lot of the virtual concerts and different things like that, but from the true creative aspect, and I know how much you thrive off of the audience participation. How have you been able to really maintain throughout this wacky journey that we've had?
I'll tell you, it's interesting because I think when we first had spoken last time, you know, it was like, how are musicians surviving in the pandemic, not being able to perform? And so now here we are, and like things have opened up a little bit. And so my survival has been a combination of a bunch of things, both in person and virtual. You know, one of them being I joined an open mic that's virtual, and it's awesome because I've made so many friends. And the crazy part is they're all in Canada, and but it's amazing because that single-handedly helped me just maintain my love for what we do as musicians. I think to what your point is that live audience is really where you get that appreciation, right? And that was probably one of the hardest things about just COVID in general. I did some streaming. I did the virtual open mics and stuff, but it's missing a lot because it feels a little flat. You know, you're performing your heart out, but there's no reciprocation. There's no, you know, when you're doing a live performance, not only are you putting out energy, but you're intaking energy, and you feel energy from the audience and people when they're engaged. And that was the biggest missing thing, right? And then the other component of that, which one of the things I had to kind of do, and I've been working on myself a lot, is embracing the truth that, and I'll call it confidence of what I can do, right? And I've known for a while, but now I'm definitely like getting back into everything, hitting my stride of, you know I have this falsetto. I know I can rap. I know my guitar work is solid. You know, I know that when people hear me sing, they're going to stop what they're doing for a second and be like, wait a second. You know what I mean? And so coping, you know, slowly integrating back into this world of live performance, it was tricky to navigate in the beginning. We didn't even reach out to any place really because we weren't sure what venues were doing, people were doing, our you know, the promotion part of it was tricky because it's like, well, I'm playing a show next week and I want to tell people, but I don't want people to feel pressure to come. You know, it's a safe environment. I want them to know that, and then let it be what it is. And so it changed things a little bit because usually I think venues expect you to bring people, and we're not in that space right now. So, but you know, really, it's been a pretty good bounce back year. 2020 was supposed to be the year where we took the next steps as my band, the Hooch, and that got cut short. And it's cool though because as things started coming back in, it almost like took off where it should have been in 2020. So between the virtual and the in-person, it's really helped me to sort of get back to it. And you know, actually we've grown a lot. We're better now than we were, and it's interesting. And some of it is equipment because we upgraded a few things, but I think some of it is dynamics, adding some new songs into the rotation, and still, you know, pushing the boundaries a little bit of what we do, and playing to the crowd, definitely, because that's like our bread and butter is we play to the crowd.
Right. No, it definitely is. And for all those who have not been to a Hooch show, shame on you, but forget the shame on you first. But on top of that, you know, you really do. I remember even when you guys were doing the open mics, you know, you would start off with, you know, we are, and get the crowd to say the Hooch, and have that great interplay. Was always something that I absolutely love about you guys. You know, just how you both interact together. You know, I've seen you guys a bunch of times, obviously, because you know I'm a stalker. But on top of being a stalker, you know, I respect the heck out of you guys, what you do musically, but also I'm a fan of both of you as human beings. I think you're solid human beings, and I love you a lot.
Thank you. Love you too, brother.
Hence why I stalk you. Hence why I stalk you.
I mean, if you're gonna stalk me, leave cake or Twinkies or something. Come on, let me know you were here.
I have been. but I have been, but your daughter's been eating them all. Welcome to the rest of your life, sir. Welcome to the rest of your life.
Speaking of that, Easy, I want to piggyback off that. Jemar, how has being a father made you a better person and musician?
I'll start with the first component. As a better person, I pride myself in self-evaluation on a recurring basis. I've never stopped growing. I've never said I'm completely satisfied with who I am. I just the climate of things over the past few years, like I saw certain sides of me come out that even though they may not have been wrong, they weren't right. Like I could change my approach and grow in that way. And I think just seeing the world so far through my daughter's eyes really reinforces this idea of how things are connected, right? And then the give and take, and the simplest things make her happy. Like if you're gonna get her anything for the holidays, my recommendation is just give us some paper bags. Like go to Stop and Shop and say, "Can I have some paper bags?" Because that's what she loves right now, and it's beautiful because the joy on her face. I think in modern society sometimes we get caught up in this. I need to have the best this and the best that, the fanciest this and that. And for her joys are very simple. And it's cool watching like she's learning and seeing the discovery. And I know we're in trouble because crawling is right around the corner. She just started grabbing the drawers on the coffee table, like it's like, wait, you couldn't do that a week ago. She's we put her on the ground and she's like pushing herself backwards. And I came up with this analogy that sometimes you have to take a step backwards before you can go forwards. But as a musician too, I think that the interesting thing for us, if you're a working musician, right, and an indie music artist, you're doing a lot of the things by yourself, right? You're doing the creative part, which is creating the content, like actually writing the songs, making the music, whatever. You're doing the rehearsal piece, which is the preparation. You're doing the live shows. You're bringing in your equipment, taking it down. You're self-promoting, like everything, right? And so the thing that's been hyper focused now is balance and being like coming up with schedules and also the give and take. Like, I went as hard as I could with the idea in my mind, like I also need rest time. I need breaks and things like that. And I think that the pandemic, I didn't play much at all. I didn't write much at all. I kind of took that time to recenter, refocus. And now I'm trying to keep that incorporated to a certain degree. Because if not, I would play every single day. But there's that. There's a few other things like, getting older and stuff and taking care of your body. I'm trying to do that a little bit more. I know Easy, like you've been doing that, and it inspires me as well. Because there are reminders constantly that we're not forever, right? And I wish I could do what she does because she's like limber and her leg is up here. And I'm like, how are you doing that? But yeah.
No, it's awesome when you start to look at life through the spectrum of a child and different things like that. And for all those who aren't parents, feel free to go look up on TikTok or stuff like that and see the real enjoyment on the holiday. And no matter how much is spent on the presents and everything like that, leave for like a half hour, and I guarantee you that kid is going to be driving around in that box. And it's the most fun ever. And if it's two kids, one's going to be pulling that kid in that box. And it's all sorts of like indie race car things happening right in your living room. And it's remarkable to see. And it's that childhood wonder that we kind of want to hold on to as much as possible. It is that beautiful Peter Pan syndrome that some of us that have beards and are sitting staring at themselves in a camera, face on an everyday basis. I'm talking about you, Preston. That's fine. I'm calling you out. It's fine.
I should grow one like that. It doesn't grow over here, so I respect that beard, Preston.
No.
Thank you. Thank you so much. A lot of patience.
Yeah. Now the evolution process and to understand, because you are actually two different creative outlets. You have the Hooch brand, and then you have the Jemar Phoenix brand.
Yep.
Now, what is, for the listener, what is the difference between those two brands? And for the artists that are trying to pay attention right now and trying to learn from the mistakes that we're going to go over today, that has helped us grow and helped us move forward. What is it like to sit there with two different brains and being the creative force, or at least half of the creative force in one and the entire creative force in the other?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the hooch because I think there are certain things that are very in an airy way. They're amazing about it. And one of the main thing is the syncopation that I have with Mike. And it started early, but I'll be honest, like I noticed like sometimes look, we're not perfect musicians, and sometimes maybe I strum a little bit differently or something, or sometimes, we were playing a gig not that long ago and the lighting was bad and I couldn't see my chords and I messed up for a second. And so, I just like took my hand off of the guitar for like fraction of a second and he stopped playing for a fraction of a second at the same time. And it's like we're mentally connected while we're playing music. The dynamics are different. We'll start there. Obviously, if I'm singing by myself versus with Mike. And my history as an artist, I started out a long time ago doing background singing. And for me, like that helped me so much because you can start with background singing and then learn how to become a soloist to a certain degree. It usually doesn't work the other way around. And I enjoy just as much as singing lead. I really enjoy doing like harmonies because then there are a lot of dynamic things you can do, right? And I like what I call sneak attack harmonies, where it's like a crescendo and decrescendo, right? And so you like volume, like things like that. And it's a lot of fun, especially because Mike is a phenomenal singer, right? So the difference between us is definitely that duality of the voices. We both rap, right? And so when you get that taste of some of the songs that we do when we're singing together, it just, the number one compliment we always get is, wow, I can't believe you guys are just two guys, because we get such big sound with just the two of us, with the cajon and the guitar and the way I play rhythmically and fill all the spaces. And so that's the aesthetics of the dynamics, right? Also the other thing is that I cannot do by myself. I won't even pretend to, because it's just, I've tried a little bit and I do get there, but it's not the same. It's just that heartbeat that he brings with his percussion playing. Because we've played weddings, like we played a wedding in May and it was very small, like 25 people. And by the end of it, we just had everybody dancing, just the two of us. And it was just like, we can do that, to our detriment. I think a lot of professionals, a lot of venues see us as an acoustic act and think, oh, they're an acoustic act, not understanding that the hooch, the dynamics that we bring, we compete with larger bands or what we call like more full piece bands. I think fundamentally the major difference I would say between what I do with the hooch and what I do individually is that, when I'm playing individually, I'm at the liberty to play a lot more of my original music. Or I'll give a great example. There are a few songs that I play with the hooch where when I play it individually, it's a different like version. And somebody wants me to record this, so it's going to happen eventually. We play Toxic by Britney Spears. And with the hooch, it's like a headbanger. It's like boom, 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 and when it's me by myself, it's completely stripped down. It's got an airy feel to it. It's very like a little bit melodramatic, I'm not going to lie. And then the other biggest thing, obviously, because you've seen me, and for anybody who has kind of like...
You're right. We do see you on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building. I hope we didn't lose your train of thought, if I can barely speak on Behind the Brand. Continue, Jemar.
Nope, I got it. What I was gonna say is, anybody who has, like, I do this with the hooch, but I do a lot of it more when I'm by myself, is using my looping pedal. That's something that I've only been doing it for a few years now, but it's grown into the performance, and it allows us to kind of take songs to a whole nother level sometimes when you start adding the layers, and people forget, again, that it's just two guys. But when I'm playing by myself, it really sticks out, like a song like Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. I start layering it, and then all of a sudden, people are dancing and not realizing that, oh, wait, this is just one guy. And then the cool thing is the looping pedal, it's very technical because it has different functionalities, but the one that I use the most are the live harmonies. And I don't know if people realize that when I'm singing and they hear the layered harmony, it's all happening right there in the moment, because that's how that looping pedal is designed. It's not pre-recorded. It's not a backing track or anything. So if I mess up even a little bit, if my pitch is off, that thing is going to sound really weird, because the harmony is based on what I'm putting out. But it's helped me because it makes me stay very focused on, like, nailing everything, not just the big notes and what's flashy, but all the in-between stuff. So and then I'll say, the hooch, we kind of stick around the realms of a blend of like R&B, hip hop, and then I would say top 40, and then some soul, some older stuff. And me, I'm still in those realms, but I lean a little bit towards like adding some Latin stuff or Latin flavor too. And it's more like rhythm guitar and then adding the riffing and playing along with it. And I really enjoy now with my looping pedal, doing instrumental work, which means, like I'm just not singing at all, but I'm building a song in addition to like actually playing a song that people recognize. So.
No, that's awesome. And for the viewers listening at home, a cajon is a box that is absolutely one of the most incredible things. And you guys are the only band that can make this small box sound like an entire drum kit.
That's absolutely
and this is not just from me. I've heard from your different radio appearances of and different type of thing. I've heard other people say, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that it's just this little box of wonder and magic." But the way that Mike plays it, he really does embrace it. He, when he hits that thing, it does sound like the snare hit, and there's a different type of hit to get that kick drum type of feel to it, which adds all these incredible dimensions and textures, and I can totally understand where venues love to put bands in boxes, right? Because it's easy, it's marketable. This is what it is. This is what it goes down with. But you guys are kind of that enigma, because what you show up with instrumentation wise does not visually give the image of the style of music in which you guys are going to play. Sans your wonderful fedora. You guys kind of have, well, right, like if we're being honest here, you guys kind of have more of I'll say a stripped down feel of like a Silk Sonic, but when you guys show up, they're going to be like, oh, Mumford and Sons is here today. And that's just the way that the look is. So it's an extra kind of struggle that you have to fight against.
Yeah.
How obviously you've been doing it for enough years that people will show up and they're like, oh no, it's the hooch, we understand. But what was that like in the beginning to try to break the stigma of, no, we're not going to dress like Civil War attendees and, stomp our feet and clap our hands? Not knocking the style of music. Anyone that plays music, I have nothing but respect for you. It is very, very difficult to do. But I didn't have that type of struggle to grow up through as an act. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are told that, you cannot play, hip hop on a ukulele. And I want you to kind of speak to those people right now and tell them that not only can they do it, but they should do it. So go ahead, sir.
Well, let's start in reverse. Let's start with that idea, and then we'll go back to what you were saying. And so
there you go.
I don't think that there has been a more diverse period of music than what we're in now. Like I'll give an example. You brought up my solo project, and speaking of ukulele, I have a song on there called Over My Head that, I'm working with John Francis, and, I met him through you, obviously. And so when I heard your album, I was like, I really want to work with this guy, because I could hear the distinct things that he was doing that really just elevated that music. And so what I told him, though, was I said, listen, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I want this song to be pretty natural. Like, because here's the thing, here's the truth. In anything, you could produce it. You could go crazy and produce something. But if you listen to what's happening now, you're hearing a lot more songs that are hitting big, that are popular, that have no beat in them. It's just guitars like layered and a bunch of stuff and vocals. And it's some in-between stuff. And, you're hearing different types of instrumentation more than ever. And so the industry has kind of changed with regards to that. I think it's good in a sense because, the more it seems like the more creative you are with what you're doing, the more attention you're going to get. The industry is also very inundated because access to putting out music and creating music has never been easier. But with regards to that, yeah, why wouldn't somebody try to just do a hip hop song with an instrument that's not expected, right? I joined this conference earlier about 2 weeks ago called NERFA, and one of our good friends, Tabisa, she was like, "You should do this," and so she got me involved, and I submitted like a video so that they played it. And I was watching this one girl who she did 3 songs. She was part of their like showcase, and she was a guitarist and a singer, phenomenal. And the third song really surprised me because she sat on a cajon and there was no guitar, no instrumentation but that beat, and she sang a cappella with the cajon, and it was so cool. And so the lesson, I think there's something to be said between the produced music and then the live performance. And I think with the live performance, that's where you can get very creative, and you should, because that's what's going to stand out. Somebody's going to remember that. I bought a kazoo. It's going to happen eventually. Like, can you imagine looping a kazoo and like it's in the background and then Mike's hitting the beat and all, like it'll happen eventually. And so, like, I think about American Idol years ago, and there's a famous performance by Bo Bice, and it was like the semifinal or something, and he comes out with just a spotlight overhead and sings a song a cappella, no music or anything. Yep. And so it's a reminder of what the true integrity of music is. It's the voice, it's the words, it's the melody. And then some of the other things can come, or they don't need to. Right. A song is whatever a song is meant to be. So I would say to anybody out there, yeah, like to your point, Mike and I, we have this very dynamic sound, and the way he plays that cajon, that's the number. That's one of the other comments we always get is like, what is that? Like they run up to him after, because he doesn't play it like a normal cajon player. We'll just sit on it and hit and hit. It's so more intricate, and he thinks of it in terms of snares and kick drums and in between hits and offbeat hits, and we like to add in full stops, because you have to remember those dynamics are what make songs really stand out. So, and then your first question was, what was that other question? I forgot, I think.
What was it like to struggle with the look not necessarily fitting the sound initially? Because we talked about it a little bit, but I really want you to explore that a little bit.
I'm going to be honest and say that we're still struggling with that. And it's crazy because we're an established band that people know about. The pandemic hurt us because venues closed. We have venues that we played at multiple times, and people changed. And so it's like that venue doesn't even know about us, even though we did a phenomenal job for them. We're still constantly having to prove ourselves and having to come up with creative ways. And I always say this, because this is how it works. The image is always the first thing that people see, and they make their judgment a lot of times based on that. And so our struggle is to convince them, or for some of them, remind them that, we're more than just that image, right? When we reach out or they first hear of us or whatever, it's basically another band. The Hooch is just another band. Our accolades out the window, our dynamics and what we can do out the window. One of the coolest things that happened this year, I have to say, is that we were playing in Milford at Tribus, and we love those guys. There are a few places, Bad Sons Bear, like that. They have been loyal in the sense of they know what we can do, and they appreciate us, and they always try to get us back, right? But one of the coolest things that happened at Tribus was we were playing, and it was nice to be back. The weather was good. We were outside, and we finished up our set. Like, we killed it that day. And this guy comes up, and he's from another brewery out in Stanford. And he's like, you guys are phenomenal. I booked for this brewery. I want to have you. And that's the best thing. And I'm going to rewind really fast, because the first time that we were going to play at Tribus, we were actually playing at Liberty Rock in Milford. And again, we had a good night. We killed it. And then there was a table of people. And I like to go, and again, I'm also the promoter, right? I have to go and talk to people, hand out our cards and such. So I went to this table and I was talking to them and stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, we love you guys. You guys are awesome." And then the guy goes, "Yeah, I think we're having you at our brewery at such and such date." And I was like, how do you know that? Because it wasn't something we had published yet. He's like, oh, I'm the owner. And so what I love about that is they get a taste of the product. Once you have the taste of the product, there's no doubt. You know what I mean? You've heard what we can do and you've seen the reaction of people. The hardest part is promoting yourself, trying to get someone who doesn't know about you to be more flexible and maybe like take a listen and all that. So we put together a digital EPK because, you know, that helps out to a certain degree. But some people don't look at it. Like I've sent out emails and stuff and they still will say, oh, do you have video? If you scroll to the bottom, there's YouTube videos you can watch right in that digital EPK. So in the beginning, I think the cool thing I'll say about this too is that social media reminded me of like a video. And then during the pandemic, I was looking at some memory cards and apparently I have video from like 2014, 2015 that I didn't remember that I had. Excuse me. And so it was cool because I was like, wow, we've come a long way. We've come a long way from there. Right. And in the beginning, you know, the major difference is that we were playing Monday night shows a lot. You know, we were trying to break in, and then we're more established now. Of course, it's still a struggle, but you know, the one thing that's the consistent is how we've ascended with our own craft and what we could do now compared to like what we could do in the past, right? And the confidence that comes with that. You know, we did the CT Rocks Fest, felt really good when we were playing because that was actually just all our original music from our EP. Our shameless plug. So you know, it felt actually really good. Like we were happy with what we did, and you know, years ago we might have been rusty. Excuse me, sorry.
Well, no, and not only that, but I mean, years ago might not even been recognized to do something like that. I think us as artists constantly forget, you know, how far we've had to come to get where we were. You know, I remember first coming out here. I remember spending 2 years not even having any type of musical aspect, just going through and getting involved in the scene and seeing the places I wanted to play and start building checklists, you know, and like I knew everything was going to be okay if, you know, I was able to play Cafe 9. And now, you know, and now I sit and I talk with the owner on a regular basis every time I show up there. He's like, hey, buddy, how you been? You know, which is amazing to me because I forget that people know me. You know, or, you know, the part of, you know, I really, you know, I know it's okay when I've played the Stella Blues anniversary show, you know, or, you know, now the new checklist is I can't wait to get into the new Parkview that just opened this past weekend. Congratulations to them. It's nice to see the acoustic, which is now the Parkview, going to continue to go and grow. And I can't wait to see what those next things are. Or I can't wait to be able to get back and play the Skate House. You know, having these different types of checklists are extremely important because you have to hold on to those victories. You know, this is a very mean, cruel, and heartbreaking business and industry, especially when you take, you know, creative and you try to monetize. Because when you create, you're creating from your heart.
Yep.
But when you monetize, the heart really doesn't matter. You know, so it becomes this crazy war. And we really need to hold on to those victories or those small victories, you know, moving forward. And, you know, man, I've seen you accomplish so much. You know, I have, you know, there are people that I didn't even think that, you know, as much as, and I'm just a hustler, I'm a hustler. You know, as much as I try to hustle and network, you know, I didn't think I would ever even, you know, be able to have a sentence with some of these people. And you've been dining with these people for a while, you know. It's true though. Like, you know, you definitely do not give yourself enough credit in that type of aspect. And I know how hard this industry can be. So I kind of want to give you your flowers now. And, you know, sit back and understand.
Don't give me the flowers yet. I'm not done.
No, it ain't. You don't get flowers when you're done. That's the myth. We ain't doing that stuff no more. We ain't doing that stuff no more. We're going to appreciate you today. Okay, that waiting until, you know, you ain't there to hear all these kind words, Nah, bro. 2022. We don't do that no more.
That's
We
cool.
ain't doing
like
that ish. All right.
I like that.
So we gonna celebrate you right now. So sit back and enjoy these words. I know how hard it is to take a compliment, but it's okay. All right. You really do. You have to look at it, man. You went together with your partner and you did a self, produced EP.
Yeah.
Every sound on there came through your filter. You okayed every single aspect of that.
Yeah.
That's a feat. That's an accomplishment. You designed all the packaging for that. You did all the marketing for that. That's a feat. That's an accomplishment. Okay? Own that, bro. It isn't a matter of going, triple plastic or triple platinum. It's the fact of you went through there and you did it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that, bro. Not a lot. Everybody wants to do it. Everybody thinks it's fun. I mean, they had the whole, Dire Straits, I believe, that had the song, money for nothing and the kicks for free, because they think this is an easy life. Bro, this is more like Jay-Z and Annie, bro. It's a hard knock life for us,
Yeah, and
so,
the self motivation is crazy. I think we've talked about it. I've actually thought about stopping. I'll say 6-7 times easy within the past few years. And it's kind of crazy because people are like, no, you can't, or and the truth is I know I can't either, because it's so like a part of me. It's a fabric that's a part of me. Sometimes if I don't play music or even just like touch my guitar for a while, like my body starts to feel that. And I think that the hardest part, like what you're touching on, is self-motivating, because the grind is constant, and you have to constantly like find ways to still have desire, still want to do it. Or I would use an example of live performance. Sometimes you're going to have a ton of people there, and sometimes it's not going to be that many. I always heed the words of what somebody told me a long time ago, which is you want to try to practice and rehearse like it's the performance, right? Or give yourself something to focus on. Like sometimes if there, I'll admit this, because I use a few things for myself to self-motivate. And sometimes, if there aren't that many people in the audience, I still want to put out my A++ game, because you never know what's going to come from that. And so sometimes I'll look at the back wall and I'll imagine that I'm in, a stadium of 10,000 people, even though there's like 20 people in the space. And the other thing I think that's very difficult, I think we touched on this that last time that we were having a conversation, is that, I don't think that, I think it's easy for audience members or fans or whatnot to see the polished, finished product, to see this beautifully designed, like this is quality, right? And see this, and then, somebody who took the trouble to actually mirror the CD to actually look like if you pop this thing in like this, see that right there, and it's bam. And so like they see this, and I think it does get taken for granted, to a certain degree, because they don't see the struggle, they don't see the work that goes into all of this. They don't see, like we talked about, the loading in, the loading out. But to what you're talking about it being very disheartening, is they also don't see the investment that we as artists have to make up front.
Jemar, they are learning though on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made, EZ Bluez is in the building. Jemar Phoenix, continue, if I can barely speak.
Somebody get the man some water.
I give you
but yeah, easy to like what you were saying. There's I'm gonna be honest, there are different facets, right? The financial one is definitely like, the upfront costs that usually fall on our heads is astronomical compared to what the other end, what we're getting back, and people don't see that. And the disheartening part is where we are as a society. There's nothing wrong with it, but liking posts doesn't do much for us. Or people who don't comment at all and just watch stuff, we're taking it for gospel that Facebook is telling us you had 156 views, that they actually watched a good chunk of what we did. But I think something that doesn't get said enough is the physical and spiritual and emotional investments that we have. Like, you know, I played last Wednesday at Sol de Cuba. It was pretty cool because it was so stripped down. It allowed me to do something that I don't normally do in an intimate setting. But why was I so tired the next day? More so than when I play a gig with the hooch that's amped up and, you know, like just bouncing with the beat and everything. And I think the only answer that I have is that emotional, spiritual energy, right? Coming out of me. Like, we're not just giving you music, we're singing from our hearts and our souls. If you're feeling it, it's because we're feeling it, and we're, you know, that's emitting from our bodies and from our voices. And so there's a lot that goes into it. And I definitely think that's the hardest part to what you're kind of talking about is it's a difficult industry. It's one where, again, going back to us having to prove ourselves over and over again, like you would think that once you're established, you wouldn't have to, right? It does keep me honest and it keeps me humble. And the reminder is that the better that I'm at with regards to my craft, my voice, you know, I know even as if I feel like I sounded great or if like people receive me well and like you sound phenomenal, I actually know that I can take it a few steps further. You know, I could do some things that are going to allow me to go even more, right? And so, yeah, and creatively too, you know, I think again, people don't get to see how much you have to do as an indie artist to get that finished product. And so the cool thing, I love that you brought this up because Mike and I talked about this. Now, we wanted to put out music, and so it's all of our original songs and stuff. We mostly play cover songs when we're out in venues because you have to have a balance, and it's good for people to recognize what they're listening to. And we put our own twists on it, right? We say it's been hoochified.
Hoochified.
The cool thing about this is Mike and I discussed it, and we said, well, what do we want to do for this? Because we could have produced it full out, and we said we kind of wanted to sound not too different than what people would hear in person. So when you listen to this album, at least most of the stuff on the song, like on the songs, I say like 95% of it is just the guitar and the cajon, and which is impressive because you know that you're not supposed to get that sound from a cajon that makes it feel like a drum and work that way.
Right.
And then the other cool thing, I mean, I appreciate you for saying what you said and stuff. And so my journey has been going into more like production and stuff. And so I'm proud to say that the title track of this, Cold Fusion, I actually produced that 100%. So that's my beat, that's instrumentation, everything. The fundamentals and the foundation of that song I created, and then Mike and I workshopped it together and we came up with our verses and stuff. His story really fast is really cool on his verses because I think in that song, his verses by far are, especially his hip hop verse, like I get chills talking about it. And the true story is that Mike, it took a few years for him to come up with it, and he had written it 3 times, and then he was like, yeah, he scratched it. And then apparently at 3 a.m. one day, he ended up writing his verses. And I was like, these are amazing. You know, like I'd still tell him like his rap verse is just, it's amazing.
Well, no, it's so true. And you know, it's I find some of the best stuff is written at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, you're just in that amazing moment of, you know, not quite awake and not quite, you know, asleep, and you don't have that evil soldier of doubt sitting on your shoulder telling you that you can't say that. You just want to write it so you can go to bed. You know, and then sometimes the next day you wake up and you're like, I am a genius. And sometimes the next day you wake up and you go, I am an idiot. Both are true, you know.
Yeah.
Both are extremely true. But you know, it's this beautiful aspect of it. It's happened so many different times, you know, and I love that about your guys' journey, and I love that it is such an owned aspect, you know, where, you know, you love your dad jokes, and now you can officially make them. You went from you know, being punny to officially making dad jokes now, which is awesome. But
I disagree.
that is. Well, no. Well, you know, but it's true because it is a part of your personality, but it also is a part of the lore of the hooch. It is a part of that story. And that's what we have. What we have, whether we're leaving it with music or we're leaving it, with the stories itself, is we just have these lores, as we move forward. And I love that you spoke, about the investment that you have to make as an indie artist. And just for all of those people that are home, like, well, that just means you need to get signed. You're still making that same upfront investment if you're signed, except it's in a contract, and all that money they give you needs to be paid back. A major label deal is nothing more than a credit card loan, and you still have to be smart with your investment. The difference is when you do it on the indie side, you're actually going to be the one to get the money if and when it does pop off. Just want to put it out there. I'm not knocking those that jump over to a major label, because if one called me tomorrow, I'm in. But I am saying that you're still making that investment, and it is no different. All the money that goes towards the marketing and the PR that a major label is going to do, that artist is going to have to pay back.
It's kind of like a franchise model.
Exactly. And all the money that gets laid out for that tour with that huge bus and that incredible sound stuff, the artist has to pay back. So it is 100% that franchise model, but it's also something that we indie artists don't talk about, because, we still need the illusion. We still need that fairy godmother story. We still need to live to think that, Santa Claus is going to come down and give us our contract to Sony and our hopes and dreams, and tomorrow we'll buy a castle, because it's important to have those hopes and dreams and to hope one day you will have that castle. Where would that castle be for you, sir, when you're able to buy that castle? Are you going to build it in Connecticut, or are you going back? Are you going somewhere else?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Because I've traveled a decent amount. God bless. I've been able to travel, and I don't know if I would go with a castle, or I might say Puerto Rico. But I don't know. That's a good question. I have family and my friends are here, and I think that's ultimately why I'm still here in Connecticut. And then, because being an indie artist, I've come to the realization, at least where I am right now, there's no way I could live off of this. I'm blessed to have a stable, solid, like, day job. And so that's going really well right now. So it's kind of like, it allows me to be flexible with what I do and where I choose to play and whatnot. I think that artists who are doing it full time, there is that revenue aspect you have to look at and say, well, how much am I going to be playing for, or how often, or if I really need to pay the rent, am I willing to play like a really, really cheap show, even though my worth is more? And I think that's the hard part too, is as an indie artist, is identifying your worth and knowing your worth and trying to push it forward, because the fear is, you really could you could sell yourself short all the time. We're kind of learning that now. Like we knew for a while. The thing is that Connecticut has a very soft market. A lot of venues aren't really willing to pay and stuff. And I think I talked about this in the past too, is like my frame of mind is, if I do a really great job, we get the question, do you have a following? Of course we have a following. Everybody does. We always bring people, sometimes we bring a ton of people. Sometimes it's not as big of a turnout. But the most important thing is we will always keep your people there. And I think venues don't think about that enough. Like, let's do the math here, the semantics. If I'm really good and that person who was there for 2 drinks stays for 10, now multiply that times 50 bodies. And so, like, that's the selling point, is knowing your value and knowing what you bring to the table, because that's what it is. We played a small venue in Southington not that long ago during the Apple Festival that was going on up there, and it just coincided that way. We didn't know, because we booked it well in advance, and like it was unbelievable. And it was doing well once we first got there, and Mike's like, let's just play bangers all night. And it was the first time that we ever did that. It's crazy. We've been together for a while now. It was the first time we ever did that. And but it was really cool because we knew we could. And at the end, the compliments, and something else that was really cool that happened is, we were playing at a place a few months ago, and then so we were playing this place in Southington, and at the end, a couple comes up to us and they're like, they came up to the last song, second to last song, which was "Got That Fire," and Got That Fire ends with just like this vibe, right? And they were there, they were clapping, they were singing, and then they came up to us after, like, yeah, we were like over there. We're like, we know this song. Where do we know this song from? And they figured it out. They had heard us at a brewery a few months back and just happened to be there. And it was great because it was affirmation that we have something, So knowing your worth.
No, you guys definitely do. And unfortunately, like every great interview, we have run short on time. We want to give you these last, I think, 2 minutes to tell people exactly where they can get in touch with you so they can see that you have something and they can see that it's time to give you your flowers now. Jemar, the floor is yours.
So first off, check out my band, The Hooch. It's very easy, thehooch.com. But I hope that you'll follow me as well. My name is Jemar Phoenix. I put out this song last year, but like Easy Bluez said, I'm working on my first solo project, and it's 14 songs. It's really hip hop, R&B, pop fused together with some guitar. You're not going to expect it. The level of quality is top notch. So I hope you'll follow me on the socials. Jemar Phoenix music is Facebook, and on Instagram is just Jemar Phoenix. And if you get a chance, follow my band, The Hooch Music, and come check us out. We definitely will not disappoint you. But also, more importantly, support all the CT artists. Like Easy Bluez taught me this thing about support, and that's what I love about him. I don't know a more supportive person, and that's made me want to do the same. We all help lift each other up. So I think that the fans and the family members and friends and audience, like if you guys could come out too, come hang out with us. We do what we do because we love it, but because we love you too. So
thank you. Thank you very much. We do appreciate
you so much.
On WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself Prestige with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Easy Bluez.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted